Dacre, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for chatting. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you. I saw this movie at TIFF.
Oh, amazing.
Really exciting. Yeah. And I do kind of want to ask, because I feel like there's a lot going on, but just specifically with this one, like, what's that mindset of like going back in time for a role? Like, there's probably a lot at play, right? How things are going to look.
Yeah.
Going to speak. What's that like for you specifically?
I mean, it's great. Anything like, I mean, that's the really great benefit of this career as an actor is like you get to explore all kinds of different characters of different like countries, backgrounds, culturally, period pieces, time. Like 1977 Indianapolis is not something I was familiar with, being born in 1994 in Australia. So that's the benefit of the job, right? Is you get to dive into all kinds of amazing stories and people. But the crazy thing about this story, and the kind of sad thing, is it's just as relevant, if not more relevant now than it was almost like, well, whatever it is, 48 years ago. But I think it was really interesting, and I hope that when you saw it, but also just audiences in general, it subverts audiences' expectations. It's not this big $50 million shiny drama. It's rough around the edges. It's approachable. It's accessible to audiences that want to have this conversation, this discourse about this kind of issue, which I think is really important.
To add to that, I really liked the media component of this film as well, right? The radio show and the reporting, like that was one of my favorite things about that. So your character is not necessarily involved with that much because, he's, taken hostage, but like, what was that like reading a lot of those elements in the script, so to speak? Like that kind of like reporting kind of element, because it was a big story and I just love the way it was done. But like, you can imagine as much as you want, but it gets real when you get there and see it. But what's that like reading that in the script?
Well, the screenwriter had hyperlinks from the original televised portion of the hostage situation. So if he's walking down the road, you could like click and then you'd be taken to the actual footage. So that was really interesting and really immersive. But honestly, the script read a lot more seriously than the film plays because the film is so darkly funny. That was unexpected. That was something found in the shoot. The film reads far more serious, but I think the film needs to be far funnier for it to be accessible to audiences. But I think the hyperlinks were a really inventive way to kind of allow you to follow the actual absurdity of how it actually unfolded, which it did unfold exactly the way that it does in the film in real life.
As an actor and a storyteller, and a fantastic one at that, you're really good at what you do, Dacre. You're amazing in this film. It's interesting because you want to stay present and, think about the role and that's it. But I'm just curious, there's so many different ways how we kind of consume media, right? Like I said, I saw this at a film festival at TIFF. Then people are going to be able to see it in theaters. And then, there's movies that go to streaming services. People can watch movies on their phones. I'm wondering when, as an actor, you start thinking about how the media you are making is going to be consumed. Is that something that you think about at all while you're making something in production, or is that something that happens afterwards?
I was saying to someone before, I'm totally process-driven, not outcome-driven. Like, I never think about the outcome because I'll only watch the film once. And that's it. Like, I'll never watch it again. So for me, it's about the process. Meeting the director, discovering the character, working with the crew, working with my co-stars. That's what it's all about for me. Like, if I never watch it, I'm fine. It's about process. And that's why I really don't think the outcome thing for me is probably only considered in the storytelling of what is the message of the film and how does that outcome affect people. Like, this is a period version of like a Luigi Mangione story. And obviously it would be remiss of me to not mention that or say that I wasn't thinking about that when we were making the movie. I was totally thinking about that. But that's the only part of the outcome that I'm interested in, is the conversation or the discourse that it creates or starts.
Absolutely. Do you feel like sometimes you like walk on eggshells when you do these interviews? Because again, like I saw this movie Dead Man's Wire. You see, like, you don't know much about it when you go see it before TIFF, right? There's no trailers or anything, right? There's like stills, right? Do you feel like, because I feel like this one's good to go in fresh, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. I think I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells at all because, like I said to you, the outcome isn't like I really love the movie, but I'm not outcome driven. And I think, yeah, it's totally good to go in blind. It's good to just go in and, I mean, the trailer doesn't give, I mean, it does give a lot away, but it doesn't give too much away. And I think at the end of it all, there is a yearning amongst people to hear and have this conversation. And I think that's why people will be drawn to the film when it comes out wide in January. And that's, I think, what will give the film lasting relevancy is the conversation that's happening. But I'm glad that you went to TIFF and did go in blind, because that's a really important way, and I think a good way to do it with this kind of film.
No, absolutely. And my questions are very craft-based because I'm a filmmaker as well. So these are the things I'm constantly thinking about. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So kind of to add to that a little bit as well, like I find it interesting because, we're going to see a scene, in your office with you and Bill, and then we're going to see a scene back at the house where he's kind of negotiating and everything. And, those are like, it's the same story, but like, when you did those two scenes with Bill, right? One at the office at the beginning of the movie, and then afterwards, did it feel like their own kind of like mini movies? Because they're very different, I feel like, even with the setting and everything. Or did they overall feel like part of Dead Man's Wire?
No, I think you're right. They felt very different, because one is the sort of inciting incident, and one is sort of the scene that takes us from Act 2 into Act 3. And they're very different. They're very different structurally, but they're very big scenes. We also shot the film chronologically. So I did do the office scene before I did, which as a filmmaker, is not usual to shoot a film completely in chronological order. And I found that really rewarding as well, because it did make them feel like they were two different moments. They were two different moments in the schedule. They were two different moments in my memory now. Like they're two significantly different portions of the project. But that really helped. It helped to differentiate the two. They're in completely different mental spaces. My character's completely fatigued emotionally and mentally. And The Wire helped, to be attached to Bill and the gun. It made it a lot easier to kind of transcend normal acting experience, where you don't have all the things on offer that help you feel like you're in the moment, and make it feel like something that was really transcendent and really the performances are present.
And super quick, there's some situations where your character is on, like you're on the phone with someone, right? Are phone call scenes different than kind of live action scenes? Because sometimes you don't, like maybe you don't hear the person on the other line. Like, what's that like for you? Because that's what I love about this film, the phone call scenes as well. Right?
Totally. I met Al in LA before we went. I knew our scene was going to be over the phone. We rehearsed over Zoom, and that was kind of fun in its own way. But then on the day, one of our producers can do a really good Al impression of Al in this movie, and he ended up doing it for the phone call scene. So that just shows you, like, you kind of have to get creative movie making, and phone calls can be a number of many things, just like green screen actors or green screen in general, can be very different to the actual experience. But look, it's also anything harder than usual is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in pushing myself, and this definitely felt like all the right ways to do that.
Absolutely. Can't wait for people to see this in theaters.
Thank you.
Dacre, it was an honor and privilege to speak with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.